if we were looking at all the major events in world history that dramatically altered the world, that created a before and an after, Portugal is at the epicenter of one of these historical events. And so today, let's talk about how Portugal changed the world. As we do this kind of mix of a travel vlog meets learning about world history, I want to take you along with me as I go to where history was made. When people think about exploration, especially if you're from the United States like me, people think of Columbus, who sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Or they think of the Spanish Empire, or again, just the British, because the sun never sets on the British Empire. But here's the deal. Who do people not think about? The Portuguese. And that's a problem. We have such a small view on the whole story. I'm gonna go all history teacher on you. But why did Columbus sail the ocean blue? He wasn't planning on finding the Americas. No, he was looking for a shortcut to the Indies in the Indian Ocean Trade Network for all the luxury goods that they wanted back in Europe. Discovering the Americas was an accident, and what they were really trying to do was just get to those spice markets. But that was 1492. Columbus, check this. Although neither Portuguese born nor sponsored, Columbus was Portuguese trained. The Portuguese were actually the leaders in exploration, and it all started with Prince Henry the Navigator. You need to think about where Portugal was located. When they looked out at the Atlantic, they believed they were essentially at the edge of the world. For so long, that was it. Now, the name Prince Henry the Navigator is a little sus, as he actually never navigated. He never sailed, he never explored. He merely spent his money on sending others to explore. He was instrumental in developing the caravel ship, which was an iconic ship that used both square and lateen triangular sails that was maneuverable in the winds. Now, Prince Henry, I didn't navigate anywhere, sponsored other brave people to learn about navigation and actually explore the coast of Western Africa in search of a route to get to the Indian Ocean for those spices and luxury goods. In some ways, he's like the ultimate those that can't do teach, which is a huge teacher diss because teaching is super hard. Anyways, when you're in Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, you can go to the Monument of the Discoveries on the Tejo River, which leads out to the Atlantic. It was built to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the death of Prince Henry, and as a history teacher, I was pretty excited to see this site, and the size was impressive. It is in the shape of a giant caravel, with Prince Henry at the front holding a ship, which I guess is fitting for him, sponsoring the building of the caravel, and again, not traveling anywhere. The monument features over 30 prominent people of the era of the discoveries. Sixth from the bottom, you'll see Bartholomew Dias. Portugal sponsored him in 1488, before Columbus, and he was the first European mariner to round the Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa. It was 4 years after Dias accomplished this that Columbus sailed into the unknown and realized, hey, there's another landmass, but we know that story. Again, don't sleep on Portugal. Two other major explorers that you probably have heard about that changed the world, also on this monument. After Dias reached the Cape, Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama sailed from Lisbon, rounded that same Cape of Good Hope, and made it all the way to India in 1498. It's such a big deal, and it's probably why da Gama is seen like a hero in Portugal and is practically next to Prince Henry on the monument, right behind King Alfonso V. Now, just a few behind da Gama, you'll also see Portuguese navigator who sailed under both the flags of Portugal and Spain. You will notice he's the one with the staff with the circle because he was on the first crew that circumnavigated the globe, Magellan. Other notables on the monument are Cabral, who discovered Portugal for the Portuguese. Again, people lived there, but it was new to them. St. Francis Xavier, who's a Catholic missionary who traveled to India to share his beliefs. And Gomes Llanes de Zurara. This could be a whole other video. But he was basically the Portuguese writer who defended the idea of African slavery and made Portugal out to be on this great civilizing mission. Terrible. But he's on the monument. But I think it's important to realize that the people commemorated on this monument did change the world. but not always for the best. The effects of Portuguese exploration led to not only Portuguese colonization of Brazil and a lot of other places around Africa, but Spanish, British, Dutch, and French colonization around the globe, which disrupted so many different civilizations and made their mother country rich. It led to chattel slavery, the spread of epidemic diseases, and the loss of millions of lives. History telling needs to also be truth telling, which involves a variety of different perspectives. Outside this monument in Lisbon, you'll find a giant marble map of the world on the ground, important dates that marked explorers, which made Portugal into one of the richest nations in the world. Nearby, you'll find the Geronimos monastery, which is classified today as a UNESCO heritage site. It's important to note that Portugal is and has always been highly Christian, specifically Roman Catholic. In fact, before Vasco da Gama set out on his famous expedition to India, he and his crew spent the night in prayer at this very site. It didn't look like this then. After a successful expedition to India, King Manuel I of Portugal decided to replace the former church and build a monastery in honor of the Virgin Mary. And how did he pay for that? Well, from the taxes of various goods the Portuguese acquired from Africa and Asia, which explains why the monastery and the church is just so vast. We walked through the Church of Santa Maria at this very site where you could see the traditional Catholic iconography, and it was designed for a traditional mass. Pews, areas for prayer, and the Catholic sacraments, along with influences of Portuguese expeditions, along with Gothic, Moorish, and Renaissance styles. Like most Catholic churches, it was in the shape of a cross. You'll see foods non-native to Portugal in the art, like artichokes and nautical rope, and elephants from India holding up the tomb of King Manuel I. Before leaving the church, you will even see the tomb of Vasco da Gama, who prayed for his voyage to India at this very site, and now it's his final resting place. Someday, I highly recommend putting Portugal on your travel list. We were able to leave the city of Lisbon and actually go see the Atlantic Ocean, the place that once was considered the edge of the world, with these rocky cliffs and shores and brutal waves. All these European explorers ventured from here and they rounded Africa and they made it into the Indian Ocean, as well as to the North and South American continents. The Atlantic is so vast. Even when we left and I was flying home for hours, I could not see land from the air. I could not even imagine what it would be like to be on a caravel ship for weeks without seeing land. Now, if you travel to the area of Sintra, you can visit the Pena Palace. Ferdinand II bought the land to build a summer residence for the royal family, but his enthusiasm and riches led him to build this elaborate palace, which mixes a variety of styles. I'm not gonna lie, it's an interesting choice of colors, with the red and the yellow walls, along with blue tiles from the Islamic world with these Moorish influences. It's like a medieval castle meets an Islamic art dealer who is really Catholic and mixes in some superstitious beliefs, and no one can decide on a style, and boom! Let's have it all. Reminds me of when you couldn't decide on what to get from the drink dispenser, so you just decided to add a little bit of all of them. Coke, Sprite, fruit punch, root beer, why not? Mix them all together and you have a very non-delicious drink. So perhaps it's not my style, but it was Ferdinand's. He was known to be a collector, and since Portugal was so heavily involved in Indian Ocean trade by this time, all those goodies found their way back to the Pena Palace. Silver ships, along with jade furniture and porcelain, all having their origins back in Asia. I mean, throwback to the 2019 DBQ essay on the AP World Exam, and Document 7 was a luxury box. It is the box. Now here's the crazy thing I just realized. Here I am in Newark. The box is at the Met, and the Met from where I am right now is approximately 1 hour and 23 minutes on public transportation. But it's close, so I'm not going there. But it would have been a cool story. I'm pretty sure Ferdinand would have loved to have that box at the Pena Palace. As world travelers, our goal is to experience other cultures and engage while realizing culture differs from place to place. Maybe replacing phrases like weird or strange or exotic with just saying, that was different from my own experience. I loved how our group leader described trying new things or trying new foods with a no thank you bite. where you try things politely even if you don't finish the dish as you engage with new experiences. Often, you will find that you might be pleasantly surprised and love it. In Portugal, I was able to try a cod fritter, different pork dishes, delightful croissants and pastries, and their famous pastel de nata, which, to be honest, I didn't think I would like because it's a custardy puff pastry tart, and custard's not really my jam. But I totally tried it, and it was awesome. On a side note, we were also the group that got the business for trying McDonald's in Portugal.
First time internationally traveling. Never been out of the country, obviously. McDonald's is big in America. And go to McDonald's because it's an international trip. It's different everywhere.
We were running back to catch our bus and didn't actually eat during our free time because we were engaging and checking out things in the local area. McDonald's around the world definitely blends local foods with their traditional menu. Go to McDonald's in India, no beef. Go to McDonald's in Hawaii, you're gonna find Spam on the menu. A great word to describe that: syncretism. The syncretic blend of local and American foods is evident here in Portugal, where you can order right from the kiosk pea soup, garbanzo soup, a can of beer, and other unique twists. I had a rustic honey chicken sandwich, which is way better than a $1 or so McChicken.
Number one, I really like that McDonald's wasn't as greasy in Europe as it was back in the States. But holy smokes, the backlash. We saw a local with McDonald's. Therefore, international travel approved. Try McDonald's.
It's like it's the same, but totally different. Many McCafes around Europe look like real coffee shops and are typically a different counter from the food counter in McDonald's. To be honest, international McDonald's are kind of our go-to for Wi-Fi when we might not have cell signal. And again, our quick food, as so many other nations are so used to sitting down to enjoy their food. -1 for Americans. We were also able to experience Portuguese fado music during our last group dinner, which had these multiple courses for the meal. It was emotional and powerful and really allows you to engage once again in the local culture. It's a combination of lament and despair and love all wrapped up in song, and we were able to enjoy it as we ate our final meal together. We all need to go, see, and experience history, whether it's across the world in Portugal or in our own city. See if your school offers travel opportunities. Throw in the comments below where you would want to go or maybe what you'd like to see. Or if you've had a great EF experience of your own, tell us where we need to go. Who knows, maybe it'll show up on our future playlist right here. And if you're a teacher and you want to lead your own group, drop me a message and I'll get you connected to the people at EF. I've never had such a stress-free international travel experience in my life. Thanks again for coming with me to see Portuguese history. We hope to see you next time. Feel free to subscribe to make sure that you're alerted every time we have a new one in this series. It's great to have you. Have a good one.